get this recorded. Well, welcome everyone to our first Tuesday of the month. That means it is our testimonial call. Always my favorite call every month because we get to hear from you. You are the ones that are in the trenches. You are the leaders. You get to share your experiences, not just what the research says, not what the science says, or what David says, or myself says, but it's actual testimonials that you guys hear, that you guys see, that you guys experience. And so I am very honored tonight to introduce our two hosts for tonight. Literally, we go from the West Coast to the East Coast with Jerry, our A8 on the West Coast, and Aaron, our A6 on the East Coast. So I love how technology literally brings us together for this powerful moment tonight when we get to hear from our host and their experiences, their stories. I think some of you heard them before. For those who haven't, I will not spoil it any more than it needs to be, because these two fine leaders and gentlemen are a testimony of itself, of our products, and they will be telling their story and also those that they have shared the product with. So without further ado, I will turn the time over to Aaron Kozmits and Jerry Scrivner.
Hey everybody, I hope you're doing good tonight. We really appreciate you giving us some time, Jerry and I. It's going to be hard to edify him after I speak because I love this guy so much. But I want to tell you guys a little bit about my background. On September 17th of 1998, I had been married to my wife, my not wife, just under a year, and she was stationed on Camp Hansen, Okinawa, on the Marine Corps base there. And it just so happened I was living in Orlando at the time. A drunk driver put me into a month-long coma with 25 broken bones, a shattered neck and spine. My internal organs were damaged because all my left ribs broke and they went into my body, and titanium reconstruction. But basically, I was as purely broken as unbelievably broken. About a month after that, I woke up to a very bright room. You'd think they would have thought to close the blinds in the hospital room, but yeah, I woke up from a month-long coma with my eyes being closed. And I'll never forget that bright room. Well, this was 1998, and needless to say, there was not the focus on opiates that there is today, and that there has been over the last 15 years, 20 years, maybe. So I'm this 22-year-old kid that goes home from eventually inpatient rehabilitation to learn how to walk and talk again, with grocery bags full of medications. I've never to this day met anyone who was prescribed more opiates, long-acting and short-acting opiates every single day, 3 times a day. It became my only source of wanting to be alive. It's hard to put into terms. Opiates express dopamine, and that's like a happy feeling. And in the real world, you have to ride roller coasters, build relationships, do good things, get a raise. That's how you express dopamine a healthy way. But I had moved into a place where I was taking so much drugs. I was so high all the time. And I literally had a lot of doctors say, you're going to be on these drugs for the rest of your life. It's just a fact. You have to get over it. This is what chronic pain is all about. So for about 13 years, I just smoked cigarettes and drank coffee and took massive amounts of drugs, of prescription drugs. And in 2012, I found out about Dr. McCord's first nerve 2 activator. And life started changing for the positive in a million ways. But it wasn't until 2017 when actives flew out, the first leaders out to Utah. And I know some of you have heard this story before, but you really have to put yourself in a boardroom with one wall was an aquarium. Now, I know some of you out in Utah know of this place, but aquarium is not the right word for it. I'm talking the entire wall. There were sharks and divers and fish. So my ADD is all over the place. And at that time, I was still taking opiates. Opiates also give you like a content feeling where things don't really bother you because it kind of takes the edges off, I think where life is the most important, but it dulls those edges. And so these fish and sharks and everything's going on over here. And I still remember, and I was just talking to Jerry about this the other day, I still remember David and Ryan talking about Silocdexky and absorption rates and tetrahydrocurcumin, and it was just going over my head. And a half hour after I took 3 Optimend for the very first time, and when it was called Product X, I had to excuse myself from the boardroom. I hope I didn't seem rude, because I was so overcome with emotion, because I knew I had a key to quit opiates. And I'm going on 17 months now, completely prescription drug free of every kind of prescription, not just the addictive ones, but everything. And so what Optimend's done for me as far as pain goes is the biggest gift in the world. I can't even express my gratitude to David and Ryan and Angie for starting the company, and for their reasons for starting the company, and why we're all here and all the love we feel. So I'm going to end with, when you withdraw from opiates, you have this feeling inside of like guilt and shame. It's the opposite of dopamine and serotonin. It's like the opposite of happiness. So even if life is going good, you feel horrible. And of course, you're nauseous and you have diarrhea, and it's horrible physically. But what I've been able to do in these last 17 months is pretty miraculous. And you don't hear of stories like this very, very often. And so I think for about 1.5 years, my dopamine receptors were kind of ruined. So I've been kind of depressed this last year, but there's been a lot going on in the last year too. So I can't put it all on dopamine receptors, but that moves me into edifying. One of the reasons that I've been able to stay on track and stay connected, even though, just the one corporate call on a Wednesday of a week is all I can muster strength for. The love we get from each other is really important. So with that, I'm going to give it to Jerry, and he's probably going to keep it lighter and be really meaningful. And I love this guy. I couldn't love him more. And thanks, brother.
Wow, Aaron, that actually reinforces something that I'm going to share here in a little bit that I've kind of been flipping back and forth on all day long. But, I think I remember that day in Salt Lake, sitting there with the fish tanks. And I'll tell you, even for somebody who doesn't have ADD, the sharks were just cool. But no, I've heard that story Aaron was one of the first people that I shared actives with. And I've heard that story multiple times, and every time I hear it, it's just as powerful as it was the first time. It's probably one of the most powerful stories I've heard. I've certainly had the pleasure of being a personal part of. So, and Aaron in himself is an amazing leader, is an amazing person. I know very few people who are just as pure as Aaron and has come from the heart. There's no curtain, there's nothing. It's just Aaron, right? And that's amazing. It's an amazing gift. So I'm going to share something right now, a little bit lighter first. And I'm going to share this because I have a downline who's on the call, who's a bully, and makes me share this with people. So it's actually part of the presentation that we do a few times a week now. So I'd like to share a little bit of a testimony on Arrow. This is me last year. So weight is something that I have struggled with since, my recollection, since about the 7th grade. I've always just been challenged, at least in my own mind, that I have some extra weight that I'm carrying around. So I've always been open to weight loss things, any kind of products. And actually, I've been in the industry, network marketing industry, almost going on 10 years now. And I've tried a lot of products. I tell people that I've helped, the best thing that a lot of friends of mine in different businesses comes out with coffee and cayenne pepper and green tea and all these other things. And the best thing that's come out of all those experiences is I've helped support really good friends in their businesses. I haven't had any results on any products that I've tried, any significant results. So last year, when I started with Arrow, I started out in May, actually a little bit before that, but May, and I was at 228 pounds, weighed 38-inch waist. I like to highlight, so just to kind of distract people, I like to point out that the window is in the background, the curtain's open on the right and the curtain's closed on the left. So, so this is over a 3-month period, and all I really did, I did tweak my diet a little bit. I kind of got back to just a little cleaner eating, but nothing major. I didn't, do any major lifestyle changes. But yeah, so over a 3-month period, I went from 228 pounds to 208 pounds. I dropped, a pant size from size 38 to 36. And it was kind of weird because I was walking around the house and I kept finding myself having to hike I'm one of those guys that wear shorts in the wintertime in the Northeast or in the Northwest part of the US. But I kept having to hike them up, and I just got mad one day and I walked in, I'm like, you know what? And I pulled a pair of 36s out of the drawer and I said, I'm just going to try them. And I put them on and they fit. And that was the first time I've been in 36s in probably about 10 years, 8 to 10 years. So this for me was really, really significant. And like I said, I didn't really make any major lifestyle changes. I was doing Arrow twice a day. So the fact that I had years and years and years of trying different products with no results, and going from that to taking Arrow twice a day and having results like this were just amazing for me. So that's my Arrow testimony. I'll tell you, so there's one other thing I'd like to share tonight if I have a little bit more time. And it's something that Aaron kind of touched on. And I've kind of been going back and forth on this all day. It's actually something that I remembered earlier in the week with a very, very, very good friend of mine, Claudia Valdez. And it's an experience that I had with my mom. I guess it took me about 2 years because sometimes the epigenetic benefits we get from our products take a little bit longer on some of us than others. But it was just, I was having this conversation with Claudia a few days ago, and I remembered a couple conversations that my mom and I had. And for those that don't know, I know a few people on the call are aware, but for those that don't know, my mom passed away from pancreatic cancer in May of 2020. And my mom was always a very strong lady, very practical. She was a nurse. And one of the things that she started doing as one of my first customers was taking the trifecta when it came out. And it was great because she'd carry it in her purse anywhere. And if anybody ever asked her about how do you look so young, or, how come at this, and she just pull the stuff out of her purse and go, this is what I do, right? So I was, in one of those conversations, I was talking to my mom, and this really, what Aaron said earlier about, sharing these things with people, right? And I know I'm starting to struggle in here a little bit. But the first thing that my mom said, she was on for a long time blood pressure medication, blood sugar, cholesterol medication, heart medication. It was pretty crazy what they had her on. And at one point, as my mom's cancer was progressing, she started telling me that, I stopped taking this medication and I stopped taking that medication. And I would ask her, and one day I finally asked her, I was like, Mom, have you talked to your doctor? Because it's not, you shouldn't just stop stuff like that, right? And my mom, being the very practical lady that she was, said, you know what, at this point, I know it's not my blood sugar that's going to get me. And she goes, the only thing I'm still taking is our trifecta. She goes, if I don't, I feel horrible. Right. And so with that, that kind of put it in my brain that what we have is special. And it was a few months after that, it was not too long before she passed away, that my mom, every time I talked to her, and I talked to her multiple times a week, every time I talked to her, she'd ask me, how is your actives business going? Like I said, she was my biggest advocate, right? And I was talking to her one day and I just said, honestly, it's not going well. And she goes, why not? And I said, well, you're sick and I'm really having a hard time. And she just cut me off. And she said, Jerry, you are not allowed to use my disease as an excuse not to share this with people. She said, I don't give you my permission, and what you have is too important. So following what Aaron said earlier, for those of you, and I had this conversation with somebody just a day or two ago, these things that we have are very important. These things that we have are very impactful for people. You heard Aaron's testimony. Share them. I know sometimes it's hard to share with people if they're sick. I know that sometimes it's hard because you don't want to feel like a salesperson. But what we have is too important to not share. And for my mom, of course, she passed away. But here's the one thing that I got from one of the things I got from that was if all I did through this whole journey with actives was give my mom a better quality of life in the last few months of her life, then for me, that's enough. That's everything I could ask for. That's worth more than any money I can through my business. So that's my testimonies tonight. I hope that helped some people. I hope sharing what we have. Aaron, you're awesome as always. I love your testimony. Thank you very much for saying yes in the first place.
I would just like to.
If anyone has any questions, I'm sorry.
I don't have a question, Aaron, but I do have a comment. And Aaron, I think you are amazing, and I love working with you, and you're absolutely incredible. And I know it's difficult to share a testimonial like yours, but it's absolutely powerful, and I love the growth that you've had. And I will say, if you go back and listen to Aaron's testimonial from a couple of years ago and listen to him now, you can see a huge change in Aaron, and it is phenomenal. And I feel just honored to be part of your journey. And I just want to thank you for jumping on and sharing tonight. So that's what I had to say.
Thank you. I can't even believe people like you and David and Ryan are friends of mine. So for you to say that about me, it means a lot. I wanted to add something to my story that I forgot to say. I don't have this extra special discipline. I don't have more self-control than anyone else. Yes, stopping all pharmaceuticals like that kind of puts your body through a lot. But if you really surround yourself with good people and good input all the time and positivity and motivation, not fake, just things to make you feel good, but like true relationships and friendships, it's what keeps us here in more ways than one. So if anyone has any questions, thank you for your time tonight. Angie, thank you for your beautiful words. Stu, hey, David, everybody, thank you guys. This was fun.
Thank you very much.
No, thank you guys. Before I conclude, I just wanted to take Aaron and Jared up on their offer. Does anyone have any questions for these two fine gentlemen about their experiences or anything?
Yeah, I'd like to say if anybody on this call needs any help sharing this with somebody that you know, please reach out to us. Please let us know. We're more than willing to help out wherever we can.
And Kathleen came off mute, so I think Kathleen has a question or a comment.
Yes, Aaron, I have a friend who was in a very tragic car accident, very similar to yours, although probably not as devastating, but in a hospital for months and months and months. And 60 surgeries later, she's walking, and she's walking with a limp, and she's been using the original Protandim, which has helped. I want to share the trifecta with her. I'm still pretty new with active. And I just am thinking, when I share with her, what dosage should I recommend for her? She's a small person. Just the recommended allowance, or double up on it? She has pain every day. And I'm just wondering what you would recommend from your.
I would say genomics once a day, link twice a day as prescribed, and then Optimend probably 2 in the morning, 2 at night. If she's in a ton of pain. See, what happened to me that overwhelmed me with emotion in that boardroom was there was this warmth that kind of took over all of the parts of my neck and back that constantly chronically hurt, and it replaced the pain. It like makes pain disappear. I've never experienced anything like it. And she's going to benefit from the whole trifecta, because the whole trifecta addresses inflammation just through different mechanisms, the NRF2 protein through the gut, and then metabolizing tetrahydrocurcumin. Sorry, mouthful. But if you would like me to talk to her, or if you want to talk one-on-one, I can tell you everything about my experience, everything you would like to know. I mean,
Yes, I would love that. I just need to know how to get your information so we can do that.
what would be the best way? Anybody, can you help me with that? I'm not sure.
Aaron, why don't you share your phone number to Kathleen directly in the chat? So it goes directly to Kathleen.
Good call.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Any other questions for anyone? Or from anyone, sorry. If not, I'm just going to say that in closing, I was there as well in 2017 with Jerry and Aaron. I think that's the first time I ever met them. And yes, I remember vividly those fishes and sharks swimming all around. But when that product X came out, I know just as much as Aaron that I was overwhelmed myself. I think we gave all the bottles away. And so in the back, I think Chris and Angie just had extra that was kind of like in a powder form. And I was like, man, I gotta get a piece of this. I gotta try it. And I just shoved a spoonful of product X, which we know today is Optimum. And just to let everyone know, I have a torn rotator cuff and torn labrum that I need to get surgery on, that I needed to get surgery on, and I just didn't want to do it. But that day in 2017, after taking it, I went to my aunt's house about 2 hours later, and my uncle was outside just swinging a golf club. And he was like, hey, Stu, this is my new golf club I got. You got to try swinging. I was like, oh, man, I don't know, every time I swing something, my shoulder hurts and everything. And I picked up the club and I made a couple practice swings. And I was like, whoa, usually when I get to this point, I feel pain, but I didn't feel a pain. And so I just kept swinging. And ever since, I'm a firm believer on product X, AKA Optimin, AKA Magic Pill. And so every time I hear Aaron talk about Optimin, I can literally understand and comprehend what he went through that day. But more so, what makes Aaron as well as Jerry special beyond measure is what they do with their testimonials and how they share it. Aaron with veterans, he shares with a lot of the veterans. Jerry literally across the world, with people in Japan as well, with his sister-in-law, the Filipino community over there. They, because of their experience, they're not afraid to share what we have here at Actives. And hopefully that these testimonials that you heard today will only inspire you to go ahead and share it, because it's real. What these two gentlemen have experienced, literally, physically, from a body transformation to the internal pain, chronic pain that they get relief from. This is what Actives has to offer. David, in his continual search for the best products, not only in network marketing, but throughout the health and wellness industry, and providing that to members here at Actives and to those worldwide. We just cannot thank him enough. Angie being our COO, making sure that we can get these products into people's hands at an affordable cost as well, is just truly amazing. So thank you so much, Aaron and Jerry, for these testimonials. We have this recorded. Sometimes I forget to record things. And so feel free to share this with those that are not on this call. And also Jerry and Aaron has also been on testimonial calls in the past. Feel free to go ahead and go to our YouTube channel, review those things, because it is just powerful. And so thank you two gentlemen for sharing your experiences, and also for sharing it with others that you know. So with that being said,
Susie Boyd here.
Yes.
I wanted
Yes,
to
Susie.
Jerry, and to honor his mom. That was incredible testimony that she gave to him. He will carry that until he goes to heaven as well.
Thank you, Susie. I appreciate that.
Amen to that, Susie. Thank you so much for those words towards Jerry. And, moms are always special. I'm a dad. We can get swept to the side a little bit here and there, but no one can replace a mom. And so, Jerry, your mom gave you great advice. Love her because we love you. She raised a fine young gentleman. So thank you so much for your example as well. So let me go ahead and stop this recording here.